All right, everybody, we're back for another episode of Think About It Thursday.
You're on mute.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Terribly sorry. How's everybody doing tonight? This is another Think About It Thursday.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm
Doing
your
well.
host, G. Lacey.
Doing well.
How's everybody doing?
Good, good.
Fine. I was trying to catch your name again, sir. This is G. Lacey.
Yes, this is G. Lacey. I'm here. All right, hair, nails, language, music, fashion. These are things that we hold dearly to our hearts in many different cultures. So what happens when a given culture doesn't fit you? Do you try to fit in with another one's culture? With that being said, tonight's episode's on Rachel Dolezal and cultural appropriation. Lil T wrote a clip.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question.
Are your parents, are they white?
The double life has made international news.
Rachel Dolezal has resigned her post as the head of the Spokane NAACP.
Are you black?
Yes. I know what other people say about me. All she has to do is just say she's white, and then everything's fine.
You can't tell my mom what to do. You can't tell her how to think.
You're not black. I was biologically born white, but I identify as black.
But she's done a lot for the community.
I'm benched from the game right now.
Life goes on.
Should I go in?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
How y'all doing, man? Would you please move?
Where do you want me to park?
Just move from out in front of my shop, now.
Rachel is the epitome of white privilege, portraying a persona of the stereotype of a black woman.
It's insulting.
We will rise above this.
Now we're having a national discussion about something called transracial.
I don't know what's fact and what's fiction.
There's clearly some complicated family dynamics at play here.
We were just white people with skin conditions. There's so many layers to this.
If somebody has hope, don't take that away from them.
I like your style, but I don't feel that you share the struggle. Discrimination in stores, discrimination in schools,
Self-hatred towards your skin, body shape.
not being the picture of beauty in American society.
There's no denying it.
So that's something that's going on with a lot of people right now. How did this make anybody feel on the phone? Anybody want to start off first?
I'll start. Or whoever. Anybody can go first.
I just have a question. I wanted to know is about where did this transracial come from? Did that start when she came up with this idea that she was African American, or was this already a word that we wasn't familiar with?
That is a great question.
That's
I'm
what
gonna have
I-
to have somebody fact check that.
That is an excellent
That's
question.
an
That's where
excellent
my
question,
mind
because
was
that's
going.
where my mind was too. So I guess we all in the same area.
Can we have somebody fact check that for us, please? One of our tech team.
Got it.
I wanted to get a little deeper with it when I watched her, bits and pieces of it. When I watched some of it, it was somewhat of her. She was going towards. It was her upbringing and the way her mom and them treated her, and I believe they adopted some African American children in their home. And if you watch it, I guess some of the children were going as far as to say they were abused as well. So the question that was just asked is definitely was, you know, racking my brain. Like, okay, so did this come about because of the way your parents raised you, or was this always a word?
A very good question. Very good question. Anybody else would like to share how they felt about the video? Tonya?
I mean, I just watching the clips. This is the first that I've heard of this, and so now I want to go on Netflix and take a gander.
Okay, yep. You might have to tune into it. That little short clip is almost defining the whole documentary, though.
Yes, that's what makes me want to go and look at the documentary. It's that short clip, so I can get more in depth.
Uncle T, you want to share how you felt about the video?
Well, I've kind of been like lost in words about this here because, you know, they come up with words to, you know, to make things more they bring negativity things to life without, you know, without any issues about how they bringing these issues out. And I think that's you know, where you have to, you know, be mindful, and because it's a lot of corruption, you know, a lot of it be like corrupting your mind state and whatnot.
So like, I'm gonna go back to what Duke said. She said that she adopted stuff from our culture, so that's basically cultural appropriation. How do you feel about cultural appropriation in the times that we're living in right now? Anybody want to go first? Uncle D?
So I think so that everybody better understands it, you should probably give us the definition.
Okay, I can give you the definition right now. According to Wikipedia, cultural appropriation is inappropriate or unacknowledgement adoption of an element or elements of one's culture or identity by members of another culture or identity. This can be controversial when members of a dominant culture appropriate from minority cultures.
So I think that this situation with this woman, this is like another version of passing. So in the earlier days, I say the earlier years after slavery, you had
you touching what I was gonna say, Dave.
Some women and some men that were subject of the rape of the slave owner of their slave, and it brought about light complexioned babies, and then the babies grew up to be light complexioned adults. So after they were free, it went on, and it kept, the bloodline continued to mix, and a lot of the children were fair skinned, and a lot of those women and men they tried to pass because it was easier for them to identify with their white family or the white nation as opposed to people of color. They were they were too light for their people, so they had to. I
said, can you bring that to Mel real quick?
Keep that in here.
Nah, I said, can you bring that to Mel?
Can you guys mute your phone?
So they had to try to fit in, you know. So that, I think this is just another example of passing. But in this situation, I feel like that you have this Caucasian woman that is trying to pass for being a woman of color. And I think there's clearly some other underlying issues where some undiagnosed mental trauma that she may or may not be suffering from.
So opposed to this woman appropriating our culture today, you're saying back in the days, we used to want to fit in more with the white race. If I'm hearing you correct.
I think
Right. On TikTok, there was a story about a girl who identifies as, you know, Caucasian, but her grandmother, she did one of those ID tests where you can, you know, find out all your, you know, your heritage, where you're from, what regions. She ended up finding one of her second cousins, and they're Black. So she went back into her grandmother's history. They did some searching, and they actually found out that her grandmother was white passing. And the reason why she was white passing was because of, you know, slavery and racial injustices. And it was easier for her to have a job. And it was easier for her to kind of abandon that Black side of her to be able to seek opportunities that people who were darker than her couldn't seek. And she was white passing. But now this Caucasian woman, who is now grown, now knows that she has a whole family on her grandmother's side, so her mom's side, that is full-blown Black.
It's safe to say
that does happen.
It's safe to say in this situation, the tables have turned with Rachel Dolezal.
No, definitely. And I want to get into the word interracial and transracial and transcultural. So it really comes from adoption, adopting children or adopting people or any type of adoptive parent. It says interracial adoption, historically referred to as transracial adoption, refers to the act of placing a child of one racial or ethnic group with adoptive parents of another racial or ethnic group. Interracial adoption is not inherently the same as transcultural or international adoption. So then I want to read a quote too about Rachel. It says, Rachel faced a lot of criticism. This is from the BBC.com. Rachel faced a lot of criticism when she eventually admitted that she was Caucasian biologically, but she says that she sees herself as trans Black. She previously said the idea of race is a lie and has argued that a concept of transracial is similar to that of transgender, is useful in describing people such as herself. So I think that describes kind of what we wanted to think about what that word meant, where it comes from, and how she's using it. So that trans is like a transformation. You're going into something new, something that is not you, whether adopting children of different ethnics and cultures that don't agree with, say, you take a kid from Africa, you put them in, you know, a Caucasian household, very different. That's like that racial part of it. It's just the trans and then the racial.
I appreciate that, cuz I'm gonna give y'all the definition from Wikipedia. Transracial, having a racial identity or racial expression that differs from one's race or birth. Racial transformation.
Okay. So,
but it does cover that although she said she was Black. So yes, she said she was Black. She was, I watched a documentary. She was doing all these things for the NAACP as a Black woman, although her birth parents were Caucasian white parents that did adopt two children from, you know, a Black household or Africa. So maybe that's why she wanted to identify. But I do believe that in all, if we look at the entire story, she didn't really do anything malicious in our community. She actually helped our community. She got us the grants. She got us the proposals. She did the marches. I don't see anything malicious that she did, but being in love with a culture that she can never identify with. She learned how to braid. She braids, she cornrows, she does beautiful paintings. Her children, which is by choice, but her children are Black males. They're Black children. So she cooks, She's learned. She is one of the best, from my understanding, on Netflix. She was a great teacher, like philosopher, philanthropist. She was great. Everybody loved her. That's why she was the president from 2014 to 2015 for the NAACP chairman. So the only thing that was wrong was that she pretended to be, not to say she pretended, she truly identifies as this. Even after being fired, even after all this, she still truly walks as a Black woman.
Yeah,
I just
want to say is that, okay, I felt like she wanted to find a word to describe herself. So she went to she went to go get the word transracial out of the dictionary to describe herself, for everybody to not believe that she did anything malicious or anything like that. I'm not saying that she did anything malicious, but if I, as a Black woman, wanted to say that I was transracial and I was white and I wanted to go help the white community, will I be able to fit in as a white person? Would they accept me as a white person? Would they not say that I'm doing anything malicious as a Black person saying that I'm white?
Very good question, because I believe if I was a male, and let's say this, the NAACP is a political group, right? And the KKK is a political group. If I infiltrated the KKK and they pulled my hood off as the Grand Dragon and I'm Black, I don't think things are going to go well from that. That's my analogy towards her doing what she did and saying that it's not with malicious intent. But it is a severe case of cultural appropriation, I think. And transracial, I don't know if that's really a word. I don't know when the origin of the word came.
It's a word now, though.
It's a word now.
Right. So as Tanasia was saying, the transracial came from a white couple adopting a Black kid. That still don't give her the right to say that she's transracial, because her family was white and she was not adopted by a Black family.
Exactly.
Right. Or vice
she
versa. You could say transracial because vice versa too.
Adopted Black kids, which they couldn't influence her, because that happens a lot. You get Caucasian kids who grew up around Black, and they say to themselves, they accept me as one of them, and then they start calling themselves Black because they hung around a bunch of Blacks. You see, so
we might even joke as a Black community saying that girl got a lot of Black in her.
Right.
She's never gonna be identified to us as a Black person. This lady went on to be a head of a Black organization, and she marched as a Black person or whatever. So it's like she manipulated us to believe that she was Black. Even when she went on the shows, she told the world she is Black. She didn't say I was born as a white woman, but I consider myself Black. So that could be malicious right there, because she still was trying to make the world believe that she was born as a Black woman, as she also said she had a Black father. Then she went and father say is that she don't know if her family is really her family. She could have been adopted.
So I'm gonna bring up this word. It's a word. It's called imposter.
Do
you feel like she was an imposter?
Yeah, pretty much.
She's an imposter, right? So I'm gonna give you a different definition of something. I'm gonna give you a medical diagnosis, basically, and it's similar to transracial. The definition of transracial is called racial imposter syndrome. It's a feeling of self-doubt when one's internal racial identity doesn't match the other's perception of their racial identity. So, in other words, you're Black on the inside, but you feel white on the outside, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's what we call Oreos.
May I? So let me speak on this. So I think this is a clear case of privilege that allows you freedom to experiment, knowing that
Absolutely.
security, you can branch out and you can do these things because privilege allows you and affords you these opportunities, knowing that you have a security blanket, the safety net, that if things go wrong, you can return to the fold. So in this case, I have to question the due diligence of the establishment, the NAACP, because why wasn't this correctly vented?
They got fooled
Well,
by her.
I don't know if that should ever be an excuse, because ignorance is no excuse for allowance. So as Mr. Lacey stated earlier, I don't think if it was a political group or a supremacist group based upon white color, that you would be able to walk in the front door without them giving you a thorough investigation. And I'm concerned that this woman felt like she had to don a mask, a secret identity, be cloaked in darkness, no pun intended, in order to get things accomplished for us. She's not the first Caucasian woman or male that assisted us. We had them marching with us with Martin Luther King back then. A lot of times, white people are intricate parts of the Black movement. They just don't always be out front.
Well,
Like
let me point this out about Miss Dolezal while I'm at it real quick. Earlier in the documentary, when I was watching it again, she said that she started identifying as biracial in 1989, but she has a case with the she has a lawsuit against Howard University when in 2001 when she said that she was white. Basically, she said, according to the Smoking Gun, that as a graduate student there, she had faced discrimination based on her gender and pregnancy and race, which was white. So I don't understand how she was identifying as, but I feel like it's more to her madness. I feel like she really was an imposter in our community.
Right. I don't understand also why, she was able to grow up in high school, middle school, and no one never came forward and said, that's Rachel I went to school with.
Because she said that they were diagnosing her, they were labeling her as the biracial. So that's when she started to go along with it.
So in the documentary, one of the Black ladies that works for the NAACP, she says, I don't know how she was getting all these bills to pass and proposals passed when we were already putting up those proposals and they was getting denied by the government. And the government, they think that the government let her get her proposals passed through because she was white. The government would know if she was white. They would know everything as she passed the proposal to them.
That makes sense.
I would argue that and question that because if we're gonna believe that there are certain members of the government that happen to be Caucasian that are against the Black movement and productivity and being successful, it would be in their best interest at that time to turn down those laws and those requests for changes like they did before her. I think that they say there's a thin line between insanity and intelligence, and genius, I should say. So this lady, I think that there's more to her. I believe there's some psychiatric issues going on with her because, again, why would she feel like that she would have to play dress up, so to speak, and don a mask again? It's like maybe it's Halloween in her mind all year round, and she wants to put
that
on a
goes
mask
back
and pretend to be a person of color.
she's an imposter. basically. And I'm going to read this again from the BBC News. It appears that imposter syndrome is often most common when people are going through transitions and trying new things, trying to fit in. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you had to try new things and fit in a crowd?
So
well, I know somebody, good friend of mine. She Caucasian, and we grew up with her, and she said that she wanted to be black, and I told her, nah, you don't want that because you don't want the issues and all the negativity that comes with that they put on us of being black. I told her you don't want that.
And I know exactly.
I told her you be yourself. You cool. You hang around blacks. We accept you. You cool. You ain't got to change to be down with us. We already accept you as a good friend of ours. You don't have to change your color.
I think that the reason why she was comfortable being who she was and adopting some of the culture, she basically adopted the Rastafarian lifestyle. But she is a child whose mother was a member of Woodstock, I believe. So there's a certain like freedom, their mindset. So again, this individual, she didn't do anything to cross the line. The one that you're speaking of, Timmy, I know exactly who you're referring to. I'm just not going to
I ain't
say her
mention
name. She adopted parts of the people of color's culture, and because she loved it, and she loved the individuals that she was around, but she never did anything to cross the line or make people feel uncomfortable, nor did she try to change the color of her skin, nor did she try to change her hairstyle or anything like that. Again, the only thing she did was, adopt the Rastafarian mindset and clothing and things of that, and other aspects of the culture. And therefore doing that, she was comfortable and people was comfortable with her. But in this situation, this individual said and did things that was untrue, biologically. So it's almost so I would say, no one else will say it, but I'm gonna say it. I would dare say this person has a problem with telling the truth, because she was lying so much about being a person of color. She convinced herself that she was. So again, and that's what I believe brought about the transformation, where she felt like she had to change her hair and stuff. And then someone brought it to my attention that if you look at like before and after pictures, she looked like two different individuals. So again,
two different people.
So again, that's some questionable behavior. I feel like there's some mental health issues that have not been diagnosed, or this been swept under the rug or ignored.
Well, I was going to say this a little bit later. Do you think you can be bullied into not wanting to be a part of your own culture and race? Do you think you can be beaten into saying, hey, man, I'm not even black no more?
Well, that would be as when back in slavery, they was beating you to change your name when they didn't want you to use your African name no more, where they wanted you to use more of an English name. So probably then, but now I wouldn't know how you could be bullied, and maybe you just don't like yourself or you don't like your culture. And it's okay for you to like the other culture. The problem comes in when you start trying to identify to make yourself seem as this is who you was when you was born. That's just as her painting her face black and then go prancing around, saying that she's a black person.
I told my cousin earlier that I think it's worse than blackface, because she actually was acting as a black person. When a person's in blackface, you know they're making fun of us.
Well,
she was an imposter.
Well, again, you like I said, I feel like there is some undiagnosed mental health issues because again, why would you take things as far as she did? But again, I would put it back on the NAACP about
they was fooled. They got fooled.
Yeah, but that should not happen. It should not happen. It should not happen, but it did, and we should learn from it. But again, I believe that, I can't say she infiltrated. I feel like they opened the door up and invited her in because they felt like she was one of them.
Right.
And I felt like too, a lot of times we push people up front because we feel they look a certain way and they'll be accepted. So a lot of times we get people this of light complexion, look more like the so-called majority, which is truly the minority. But they happen to be the ones with the authority. That's what makes them the majority. So they push those people up front, and that's what happens. And I feel like they was safeguarded, so to speak. They felt safe with her out front, being the figurehead.
And this week, I was watching a documentary back in history, back in like the 1940s, and there was the first rich black woman was light-skinned. She was so light-skinned that they couldn't tell if she was damn black or white. So she made her millions by mingling with the Caucasian folks, right? And they never knew she was black. Only few people knew, and they kept her secret. And
So it seems that she is suffering from the same diagnosis as Rachel Dolezal. As Rachel Dolezal.
Right. And because what she's done, she made her millions, and she couldn't tell anybody that she was black. But
she appropriated their culture.
She
joined their culture because
she still, even though she was light skinned, she still was out there doing things for the black community, and they looking at her like you ain't really black, you light skinned, you white, that's what they saying to her. But she's out there doing things. So just like this woman here, she has an identity crisis with herself. She don't know if it ain't that she got an identity, it's that she don't think that she would do better in her own race than she would do in another race, or vice versa. She feel like she help out the black community more than she would help out her Caucasian community.
I remember when
people say, "Oh, go ahead, Auntie."
I watched this movie with my mother. It was called The Life of Imitation. As I was watching this movie, this lady, she was Caucasian, and they lived in another
Imitation of Life.
Yes, Imitation of Life. So I'm watching this movie. I was young at the time, so I'm just thinking I'm watching white people with African American maids, and the mom got an African American friend and stuff like that. As I got into the movie and I got older and I watched this movie again, I realized that this young lady that looked at Caucasian was really black. And when the white culture and the white community found out that she was black, she was exiled, she was beaten up and everything, where she had to move away from that community because now her secret was out. This blamed her mother for most of her adult life, that she was Black, and she was upset about it, but she looked at like a white woman. Her mother died. That was the part that I got at the end. Her mother died, and when her mother died, the Black community, the white community, they loved her mother for who she was. And when her mother died, this girl was so mad at her mother. She just made it to the funeral before they brought her mother's casket away, and she broke down and she cried so bad because she didn't realize that her mother tried to give her the life that she knew what would be better for her because she was a light-skinned Black girl. So her mother brought her to her white friend's house to let her live there so she could have a better life. But she missed that whole point. She hated her mother for being Black.
Crazy. Sounds like she was forced into what Rachel was going through.
Well, you know, we often hate the very thing that represents who we truly are. You understand what I'm saying? So in that situation, her mother was probably of darker complexion. See,
she was Black.
Yeah, there is a deeper issue at hand, you know, and it starts with our people, you know, people of color. There's a high level of division. And so that, again, is the reason why other people would be able to come in, infiltrate because of that level of division. So we need to be clear about that. Is it more so what the young lady did as opposed to what we fail to do as a nation of people? Because again, this woman felt like she could better lead us than one of us, and obviously she did. So again,
He actually succeeded.
It can't take away from her accolades or accomplishments and stuff like that. But I dare say this: would she have been able to do what she did if she presented herself as she biologically was a woman, a Caucasian woman? Would they have pushed her out front and let her be the figurehead, the mouthpiece?
I'm gonna give you NAACP's statement according to the New York Times. They called for Ms. Dolezal to step aside the NAACP because they have many white officials over the years, and critics said that the issue was not Ms. Dolezal's race, but her credibility because she lied.
Exactly.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
That's what they said. That's just the fact.
No, I'm not questioning.
New York
I'm not questioning the documentation. I'm not questioning that. That's facts. That's their statement. What I'm questioning is the fact that they're saying they're not asking her to step aside because of her race. You definitely are.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what your bylaws are. Maybe it says that in order to be the president, you have to be a person of color.
They got damn food. They got food, and now they use that because she lied as the reason why they let her go. But you got hoodwinked by her. That's all. She fooled y'all, made you think that she was Black, and y'all put her up there, put her in front, and then when it all came out that she wasn't, now you say, oh, you got to step aside. It is not because of what you've done, it's because you lied. That's all. That's their cover up. Because you got
most
food.
jobs tell you if you lie on your application, you will lose your job. So she basically lied. So that's what I want to know.
There's a part in the documentary, Auntie, where she has a baby. She has a baby, and then they tell her to put down the race of the mother, and she's questioning should she put if she's white or Black, because she knows if she puts she's Black, she's gonna falsify the documents. So in the back of her head, she knows she's white, but she keeps telling the public that she's Black.
Right.
No,
So
no,
when
no.
she filled out her application to be a professor for the college and for the NAWCP, did she put that she was African American on this application?
Yes, she
She
did.
had to.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
she
she
had
lied
to.
on her application, so she should be fired. Not only that you deceived us, but you lied. So would you keep a person on the job if they've been lying this whole time to you?
Nope,
No.
not at
Probably
all.
not. Probably not. Because what else they gonna keep from you?
But
They're
see,
untrustworthy.
but see, they too are now guilty of bending the truth, I'll say. Because just say what it is. You want her, you calling for her immediate removal because she lied to you guys.
Right. That's what.
Let's be honest. But see, I think that they have to be politically correct. They don't want to rub nobody the wrong way. They don't want to lose any ground that they gained.
And get fingers pointed.
I don't want to take
saying,
too much away from this lady because I was gonna ask you guys this question. Has anyone ever felt this way before? Wishing to be of a different race or culture,
Nah.
be it being Spanish, British,
Mm-mm.
African, Australian, or Aboriginal?
If you learn,
I remember being at a couple of parties where there's nobody that speaks regular English, and we're over there just intermingling with everybody and getting the cultural feel of what's going on, the vibes.
Well, if you say that, you're probably saying you wish to speak that language, but was you wishing to be of that race. I grew up around my Spanish friend when we went to their parties all the time, and she used to try to get us to learn Spanish or whatever. But now that I'm older, I do say I wish I would have took the time to listen to my friend and learn Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm Puerto Rican.
Spanish is cool.
I'm Puerto Rican, right? And you know, to be honest with you, people think I'm black because the way I act and the way I speak, and that's because I was raised around nothing but black folks,
right?
You know, and I love their culture. And to me, I consider myself black. You can tell me I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican, but I consider myself black. You know, because honestly, I really am, because we're all the same.
We're all the same. You know what? Hack makes a point, because I saw some interview that they was having, and you know, don't blame it on my heart, blame it on my mind. I think it was the red table discussion, and they had some lady on there, and she was saying there's no such thing. Don't quote me. Look it up. Watch it yourself. But I think she was saying something to dispel what she believed is a myth, that there's such a thing as white people and black people. This Caucasian lady, I believe, was saying there's no such thing. Everybody is black. That's what this individual was saying. You guys don't take my word for it. Go watch the show, look it up. And because for me, it was like, wait, is this a mistake? I mean, is the tape messing up? But that's what I
heard that.
I mean, yeah.
I heard that we all would have been black. It's from where you was transferred to in certain parts of the world, which made you come out to be. This is, I guess, before you would say it was Mankind, the documentary that I seen. This is what made Caucasian people be white, because they was further up in the north where there was no sun and stuff like that.
No,
and
they come from the Caucasus Mountains.
They're Europeans.
Right. So
white folks are Europeans.
That before, so they were saying all.
Yes, they definitely European.
They're Europeans. They got nothing to do with us. They stole this land.
Different part of the earth, we probably would have all still remained the same look and the same color, which would have been black.
Well, listen, this is how this is. And you can quote me on it and anything. But see, these white folks, they're European, plain and simple. Okay.
They have Neanderthal blood. So they come from the cave people. We taught them how to walk out straight as people.
We're separated. We definitely are separated from them. Whichever way you look at it. They came and stole this land. Okay. And just the same way they kidnapped Africans and brought them over here in ships and sold them. They stole this land. This
And
land
we was
does not
already
belong
here.
to them. And they act like they own it, and they really don't. If it really comes down to it, this land does not belong to them. This is our land.
Yeah, I think it would be cool for me to get a man bun and wear no shirt and start practicing kung fu
Well,
and swords, and then calling
let me
myself
tell you,
Chinese. You know?
no, we can't identify as any other race because of the race that we are. You know what I mean? Like, we can't say, like, you can't walk around and say, you know what, today I want to be Japanese. I want to get into anime. I'm going to only eat Japanese foods. I'm going to go to Japan. You can't do that and go into that country and mingle with those people and say, I'm Japanese.
That'd be
They're going to
cool,
look at you crazy. They're going to be like, were you born here in Japan? Like, you have Black parents that were born in Japan. Like, how are you Japanese? Like, they're really going to ask you, how
the
did
same
this
thing
come
that we're
about?
doing to Rachel. So
Can I,
right.
Before you go ahead, can I share something?
Yes,
so,
sir.
Let me ask you guys this question. On your employment application, it asks you to check off which you identify or who you are. What's your nationality? How is it worded? Does it say which you most identify with or who you are? When it asks you what your race is.
It says, what race do you mostly identify with? Then it gives you
I'm not
Hispanic,
gonna lie.
Latino, non-Hispanic, Islander.
Does it definitely say that? Does it definitely say that? Because if it says that, then that lady is not wrong. Because the wording, the terminology, they said what you most
okay, but identify. If a cop pulls you over and he looks at your
Your
driver's
identity.
license, right, your identity. He's not
gonna say that
be
you're
like,
Black.
wait,
Hers would say
what?
that she's white because it's in the computer.
She ain't gonna tell no cop based upon current situation that she's a woman of color. She ain't.
But we don't know if her license says
now
that
she
is
does,
Caucasian.
because
if you watch the
at the end
documentary,
of the
yo, the lady
documentary, she
says that.
changes
The
her
lady,
name.
I don't know the lady's name.
What
but
she changed?
says
What
this
she
to her.
changed her name to this time?
I can't say it.
It's a African tribal name.
Okay.
So she's still identifying herself as an African American
That's
woman.
right.
Yes, but let me also tell y'all
deep
she's
in.
identified as
That's why. She's deep in.
LGBTQ, Native
Wait.
American, Black, and what? I said she identified as LGBTQ, Native American, African American, and white.
Oh, she just represented all. She must have got her thing
in the documentary. Did she have kids with an African American man, or did she adopt African American kids?
She had two kids by two different Black men.
Yeah, children.
It sounds like that she's trying to check all the boxes so she don't have to pay for no college.
Well, she did go down for welfare fraud, yo.
Well,
and by the way, you're right. Her name is Nigerian. Her new name, it's I'm gonna try to say it as best as I can. It's Nkechi Nekachi Amare, which means gift of God.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Okay. So let me say this. I feel like this
She's
woman,
a gift to the Black man.
she's seeking validation any way she could get it. So with whatever went on in her upbringing in that home, I think that what she currently refers to herself, what is it? Gift of God.
Yeah. Nkechi Amari Diallo.
Yeah. So because I can't pronounce that correctly, I'm gonna say she feels that she is the gift that God gave to the world. She's a gift. God gave her to us as a gift. So okay, if she that you do with gifts, you unwrap it. If it pleases you, you continue to use it. If you don't, you discard it, right? So in this situation, she said in that documentary, in that trailer, she's been placed on the bench and she wants to get back in the game.
Yeah, she said she's out the game. Now what
but
does
they're
that
not letting her back in because she's a thief.
Who is
Well,
they?
the cultural,
The
when we say they,
NAACP,
the
the culture,
NAACP, all the different
us.
organizations that she was working with, us as the community. Remember, she was teaching African and cultural arts and history. She has a lot of intelligence. She's a very intelligent woman. Her intellect is of one who has traveled to Africa, one who has eaten the food, one who has been in a tribe. And she
Now
does
I
bring that to her
seen.
students.
Listen, do you guys think her parents had something to do with her wanting to be black? Definitely, because she took those kids to Africa. Her parents took the kids to Africa and whipped them with a whipping stick. And supposedly, one of the little girls was being raped by the brother. And she said she never fit in with her family. She was a black sheep. So when they adopted the kids, I guess she got closer to the black kids. And then next thing you know, she's black. Do you think her parents had something to do with it?
If all this is true, I can see her wanting to turn her back on something wicked like that. She don't want to be associated. She don't want to be equated. She don't want to identify with that because that's something that causes her trauma, pain. So I can see her saying, you know what? I'm denouncing this whole race, that culture, and I'm going to adopt the culture that was oppressed. You see what I'm saying? I can see her doing that. Feeling like she has to
get a lot of excuse me, Dave, but that's where you get a lot of Caucasian integrating and marching along beside black folks because they don't want to socialize themselves or be affiliated with watching for the cause, and they want to see things different, and you had the slave master who once they released the slave, they were out there helping them escape and all that too. So giving them food.
If she felt like she was pushed this way because of her parents and the cruelty that they was doing to their adopted African American kids, that was even more for her to come out as herself to help the black community and be who she was and spoke how she felt on the black community. Like if you wanted to help us, you probably would have even helped even more if you would have remained the person you are, because it would have let the Caucasian community know that what they doing is wrong.
We're going to continue this conversation for like another 20 minutes. Bird, would you like to join us? I see you there. Keish, how you doing tonight?
Mike's up, baby.
What's going on? How do you feel about this subject, being a biracial person? This lady, she's white, and she wanted to be black, basically. I don't want to run the clip again. I feel we're going to run out of time.
Don't run out of time. I don't know, man. I'm not, I'm biracial. Fuck it. Excuse my language. Sorry. I embrace both races. I embrace both cultures. I don't like to engage in the white man's down, the white man's bad. I am a white man and I'm a half black man. So I don't want to hear neither one, to be honest. I try to stay out of it. I'm in my lane. Not always acceptable. People think I'm Puerto Rican. Hola.
Have you ever found yourself adopting a different culture because people think you're Puerto Rican? Have you ever been like, hey, I'm Puerto Rican today?
Absolutely not.
I thought you was Puerto Rican.
See? Shame on you. You don't know me.
I know.
I'm a biracial man. My mom is white. My dad is black, and I embrace both sides.
So then it's safe to say that you don't accept this lady doing what she did, saying that she's a black woman and she's actually white. You think it doesn't make any sense?
I mean, be yourself. Be what you are. People want to be what they want to be sometimes, and that's what she wants to be. But it's about being just who you are and being okay with who you are. If you're not okay with who you are, you're gonna make up something else to be somebody else.
Right.
If that's what's authentic to her, in whatever avenue that she wants to portray herself, if she's being authentic for that given time, and she thinks she's being 100% her, who are we to judge?
I mean, there's many white people that grow up in black neighborhoods that adopt some culture. Some get a pass to use the N-word. You know, my brother is completely Caucasian American, and he's been grandfathered into the neighborhood and still, you know, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I get it. I don't think he says I'm black. I don't think he's identifying himself as any race but what he is.
Right, and that's fine. And I believe somebody said that to her on the documentary. It's okay for you to say if you want to be black or black, but at the end of the day, you did not go through what the black people's struggle was. Your family didn't do it, and you didn't either. So when someone asks you what you really are, you should state who you are.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you know
they
what,
definitely asked her if she walked the walk of a black woman, and she said, yeah, and then the whole crowd went crazy. And then they said, we just want you to say that you're white. And she said, I was born white. And then the whole crowd was happy. It was crazy.
Some people will adopt that, and some people will identify themselves in more of a black culture because they were raised in that. Now, I don't know the situation that we're talking about, or the book, or the whatever we just talked about, but there are many white kids growing up in all black neighborhoods, and they get adopted into that black culture. So whether they say, oh, I'm black, you're not black, right? We all know, but that's the culture you develop. You know, you might have
you be accepted. You be accepted.
You might have everything but the color. So
right,
sometimes
you're accepted. You might talk or walk, but you are accepted by the black community. Period.
So is cultural appropriation really a thing?
Yeah, you know, can I say something? I feel like, you know, do you guys believe in superheroes?
Yeah,
I am a superhero. Hell yeah!
Exactly, and that's what the gift from God feels that she is. She felt like that she was going to save the world, so she felt like she had to mask her identity and become something else so that she could be the superhero that the world needs. Maybe if she came out and said the world needs superheroes and I'm volunteering, people would have been more accepting of what she did. But the truth of the matter is, people gonna judge you no matter what you do. So she might as well had been who she truly is. Because look it, they're talking about you now. And they're not talking about all the good that you did. They're talking about what you
lied.
did. Yes, exactly. So it's overshadowing what all the good that she did for us. But does that undo the good that she did for us? Certainly not.
No. I mean, you guys should go check out her paintings and everything. They're very inspirational. She draws paintings of black women and black people in the struggle, and it's very beautiful. I ain't gonna lie to you. And so I think we need more people like that.
We certainly do. We need to be very careful.
I applaud that, you know, when other people, you know, try to expose what they don't want to be exposed. So I applaud.
Can I say something? You know, you guys, I think that as a race and as people that celebrate the culture and live the culture, I think that we need to be very careful that we don't ostracize those that listening, because we will be doing this very thing that we accuse the wrongdoers of doing. You know, that's I think we should keep that in our mind, because we will be guilty of the same behavior. She did what she did. She helped us. She obviously didn't feel comfortable doing it in her Caucasian skin. She felt like that she had to masquerade, you know, to get it done. But again, she did a lot. And I think that if she feels like that she's been placed on the bench, she didn't ask permission when she did what she did. Don't ask permission now. You have privilege, you have education, you're clearly intelligent. Go on and do it. You ain't got go start your own nonprofit. You don't need their permission.
Yeah, I wouldn't want everybody to take away from this to be mad at this lady, because we all adopt different things from different cultures.
Yeah,
you know, I like Chinese food. I like martial arts. But I'm not
No,
gonna
I'm
say
not.
that I'm Chinese. But I
I'm
want you
not
guys to
mad at
think
her
about
at
this.
all.
Right.
I'm
I don't
just
I ain't
know
saying
mad
there's
at her.
other
if
people
anybody
out
ever
there
heard
like
of the
her.
term cultural appreciation. If not, I want you guys to look it up, because we can't let somebody else on the outside of our culture appreciate our culture more than us. And again, this is G Lacey. This has been another Think About It Thursday. Remember to think about it.